Hi, Katie. Hi, Dr. Lynn. I'm gonna give everybody like 2 or 3 minutes to join in. All right, while we're waiting for some people to join in, I'm gonna introduce myself. So my name is Kat Torres, and I just became a senior this summer at UNG. I'm a political science major with concentration in law, and I really started looking into becoming a foreign service officer after attending the Cox-State diplomacy seminar. So basically what the seminar is, you first off you have to apply, and last year we found out about it kind of last minute. We only got like I think 3 or 4 drafts in, but it was enough time, and I ended up being one out of 27 participants in the program, and there were about 500 applicants nationwide. So Cox-State is definitely a competitive program, but I highly recommend that it's always better to try rather than to not try at all. And the program itself is wonderful. So what is the program? Basically, the Cox-State pays for you to fly over to DC, but because of COVID this year, I don't believe that this cohort will be flying, but you still get the virtual experience. And I'm sure that the experience will consist of, speaking with active foreign service officers. So like last year, we went to panels every day, and we literally got to hear from almost every single bureau, covering everything from helping the Secretary of State to working abroad at an embassy to working in diplomatic security, every single sector that you can think of, IT to consular affairs. We got to hear from everybody, and that is very wonderful because you hear how your major can fit in. And let me just clarify really quick that you can be any major to apply to this program. You do not have to be political science or international affairs to be eligible. They need people from IT, they need engineers, they need even urban planning, like every single major. So if you think that you want to work internationally, then you definitely want to look into this seminar and how it can fit for you. Another thing that we did in the seminar was we visited Peace Corps, which they kind of tie into the Department of State, but they were introducing us to that. We got to speak to them, learned what Peace Corps does and what benefits they offer. And we also we shadowed a foreign service officer. That experience was super cool. We got placed with another student. So it was like 2 students with 1 foreign service officer, and we basically had a Q&A time while having lunch with them. And you could ask them anything regarding to like their job duties to how they live their day-to-day life abroad. So you really get that one-on-one time that you need to ask those questions that are just, burning up within you. Like, I remember asking, well, as a foreign service officer, you're required to move abroad every 4 years. How does that work with your family? So it's really interesting to hear their response to that and how they approached it specifically. And you do also get additional time to speak with other Foreign Service officers, so you can definitely ask multiple people about it and get different perspectives. Another thing that we did that was super interesting were the simulations. So we did 2 simulations. One of them consisted of kind of like a Model UN sort of simulation, and it was basically these, like, we call them states, but they're countries, and like a nonprofit organization, and then like there's like another organization I can't remember, but you basically come together to address this international issue. And for that particular simulation, we were doing refugees. So we were trying to mimic how actual diplomats come to these international agreements and how to handle immigration. And so that was the first one. And then the second one that we did was super cool, and this is what made me latch onto the Department of State for after graduation. And it was, we were modeling basically an embassy abroad, and they gave everybody a role. Well, you actually got to pick your role of what you would be doing in that embassy. So you would pick up your little job description, and then they gave us an international situation where they were like, oh, there's a global pandemic. Also, with that is very ironic because we are now in a global pandemic. It just shows you the relevancy of the Department of State. It's so important. But you got your position, and then it gave you a description of the job title, what your job duty is, and what you're expected to do in that role. And then after you're giving the scenario of the global pandemic, you have to tell the embassy what you would do as that officer position. And then from there, you coordinate with the rest of the officers, and then you present it to the ambassador, who's at the top of the embassy. And then after we presented in groups, we got feedback, and yeah, that was, it was really interesting to, really put yourself in that mindset. I'm trying to think of what else we did. The gift shop's really cool. Meeting other students around the US that are also interested in the same thing. It's a great way to make connections. I've met people from, obviously DC, but like the West, California, New York, Virginia, like all sorts of people, and I still keep in touch with them. And we've already we have a LinkedIn group, and I remember one of them lost their internship because of COVID, but thanks to these connections that we made in the seminar, somebody was able to connect them to this internship that went virtual. So like, even if you end up not wanting to be a Foreign Service officer after it, it's still a great experience to get to know what career opportunities are in the Department of State, but also to meet other people that might be interested in something similar as you. Now I'm going to open up the floor to questions. So if you have a question, please feel free to comment. What eligibility requirements are there? Okay, so I know you have to be a US citizen, and you have to have a 3.2 GPA, and I believe that, I'm not sure about if you can be a first year. That's a Dr. Lin question. I don't know off the top of my head. When I applied, I can't remember if we applied we applied in the fall, so I was a junior when I applied. But I know we had a sophomore in the group. Also, another thing, I noticed that in the seminar they were really pushing for diversity and representing historically underrepresented groups. So if you are a minority or in a historically unrepresented group, I highly encourage you to apply. Okay, Dr. Lin is asking, can you tell us a bit about the application process? Okay, well, I remember I had to write an essay. I think it was just one, and we basically just drew out ideas about like why I would be interested in diplomacy. So like I just took a personal experience, and that made me interested. Like I didn't have to be committed to it yet, but I definitely was interested in diplomacy. So you don't have to be like set on it. Oh, another thing that helped my application too is that I studied abroad. So at this point when I was applying, I remember writing in about my experience in Ireland. And even though it is like a European country, it's still important because you underwent through the kind of like the immigration process, and you were a diplomat or an ambassador of American culture abroad. So that's something that I remember putting in my application. Okay, what piece of advice would you give to someone who is interested in applying? I would say give it a shot. You never know what the outcome is going to be. It's always better to try and fail rather than to not try at all. I mean, like they're paying for you to be there. You're not getting like any like actual money, but like they're paying for your experience. So like why not, Especially maybe if you don't want to apply this year because of COVID, well, you can definitely apply next year. But I highly suggest this year, especially if you're like a junior and you're trying to figure out what you want to do after graduation. It does not hurt at all. Are there any other questions? What resources did you use to prepare for the application? Okay, well, when I applied, there was only like their website because they're a brand new program. So I really just had to rely on the NCS office and Dr. Lin because she's had previous experience with like Wrangell and the Department of State. So thank you, Dr. Lin, for being such a great mentor and resource, because I definitely wouldn't have known what they were looking for if I were applying on my own. Are there any other questions? Katie, are you still with us? Okay, someone's asking, did this experience point you into a new direction or give you new ideas for your career, or did you have an idea of what you wanted to do before you started? That is an excellent question, because honestly, like when I applied to college, I was just planning on, just pre-law, go to law school, didn't really know what I wanted to do after that. So, going it through this seminar kind of gave me more of a direction, like maybe I still want to go to law school or get a master's and then do foreign service, but foreign service, I want to do it at some point in my life, for sure. But so I would say yes, that it did give me a new direction to work towards. All right, so are there any last minute questions before I close up? Katie, do you have any questions? Has the Cox been a springboard to other opportunities? Absolutely, 100%. After participating in the seminar, I applied to the Wrangell Summer Scholarship, which is also a very nationally competitive scholarship, and I got alternate. So I didn't get in, but still got alternate, pretty good. And then after getting alternate, this is like amazing. I applied to the internship for the Bureau of East Asia and Pacific Affairs under the Department of State, and I got an internship for this fall. And I really don't think I would have landed that internship position without going to the seminar. So again, if you're interested in an international career, this is the seminar that you want to be at. Okay, so Katie asked, are there other scholarship opportunities you would recommend students to explore? Well, it depends on what you're looking for. So if you're looking for an international experience, I know I've won Gilman. So I've studied abroad in Ireland. Didn't win Gilman for that. I was an alternate. And then I reapplied this year and I went to Australia. So definitely recommend Gilman. And definitely recommend, obviously, Cox-State. And then the springboard was, I'm trying to think. I've applied to so many. What was the other one? Well, I'm currently applying to Fulbright, because then that, you're abroad for a year or two, whether or not you renew it. So yeah, if you're interested in being abroad, Gilman and Fulbright. But if, Dr. Lynn is the magician. She knows all of the international scholarships if you want to travel. All right. Are there any other questions before I close up? All right. Again, if you have any questions about the Cox-State seminar, remember to contact the Nationally Competitive Scholarships Office. Their email is ncs@ung.edu. All right, so I hope that you guys apply and I get to see pictures of you there next year. Bye.